I want to pick up on a point that the chairman raised, and that is we're all aware, you two and the department is, of the intrusion of China all over the globe. Different countries, different entities. The chairman mentioned the UN. They've got a particular target for the UN to get involved there in every nook and cranny that they can. One that concerns me is they're doing a similar thing here in the United States at the colleges and universities, and that went on for years, pretty much under the radar, with most people not knowing what was going on, in the form of what they called the Confucius Institutes on these campuses. And now, first thing that happened is it stopped. Universities quit adding them, and now they're actually dismantling them, and there's getting to be less and less. Having said that, the Chinese now, instead of going through the Confucius Institute, are buying chairs in the various departments, or they're funding research in places like that. And again, this goes widely unreported, and occasionally it rears its head, as we saw when we had a confirmation from person from the University of Pennsylvania, and I was staggered by the amount of money that China is putting into these universities. They're not doing it out of the goodness of their heart or to see that our universities are doing a good job. What kind of program, what kind of effort do you have in that regard to monitor that and do what's necessary to unwind that? Because it's when this happens, there is no doubt that those colleges and universities are going to get soft on China. They just are. Money has a way of doing that. So your thoughts on that, please, Wendy.
So thank you, Senator. As you point out, after peaking at 100 Confucius centers in 2018, there are now only about 15, and so putting a spotlight on these issues is very critical to putting pressure on universities to understand what's happening and what they're doing. So I greatly appreciate the work that was done by this Congress and by the State Department to put a spotlight on the Confucius centers. In addition, we are in fact doing the same thing, putting a spotlight where in fact there are other things you mentioned in your opening statement, police stations that are being created. One was closed down in New York when I was in Europe recently. In every capital where I know there are police stations, I've raised this issue. And putting a spotlight on this, asking governments, asking universities to take a look at what they're doing is critical. I do want to make one point, though, which I think we all have to be very careful of. We think that people-to-people exchanges are important. This Congress, on a bipartisan basis, has supported over the years people-to-people exchanges. We have, I think, over 290,000 Chinese students who come to American universities. We are very careful about looking at visas and making sure that in strategic departments where it might influence or create a problem for our national security, we do not have those students come, but it is very important that we not close down these people-to-people exchanges. On the other hand, we only have about, I think, 385 Americans who are studying in China, and we probably need to do something to increase the number of Americans who are willing to study in China. And the final thing I would say is we all know that anti-Asian American hate has increased. And we have to be very careful as we put a spotlight on China that we not increase hate against Asian Americans. It has led, as we have all seen, to horrifying circumstances in our country, and we need to make sure that doesn't happen as we, in fact, crack down on exactly the kind of things that you've outlined, Senator. Thank you.